Hello, everybody. So today we are going to look at my buddy's final table, tonkaaa, who has already won 3 WCOOPs this series. So it does look like the guy is running hot, a lot of final tables. So we're going to check out this $5,000 final table he played and see if like he's as unstoppable as it looks in social media, as all I can see is like final table, win. I'm not going to spoil if he won this one or how he did, but it is a 5K. It does look like a turbo as everybody is kind of short. So NASA goes ahead and rips over here. He said, though, cannot call here probably. It depends how big blind sees NASA's jamming range. But the idea is you're going to need probably around like 55 plus 58% equity to start making calls here when NASA jams. If he thinks NASA is jamming like ace deuce to ace 7-0, he should probably call. But if NASA adds pairs, suited connector, stuff like that, it's not that clear. It could be a jam, but I just cannot see that being a thing. So first hand, we see a bust out. So Duncan's gonna have a situation here with pocket threes, very quick fold. I like it. So whenever you have like 22 big blinds, so nobody should really have much of a calling range out of big blind. NASA could have a calling range with 22 big blinds effective with short stacks if tonkaaa opens, but mostly people want to play 3 bets. And once that is going to be true, you don't really want pocket threes. You want to have like ace deuce so where you block aces, kings, 3-bet bluffs. Like you just want to have a blocker hand to steal in a short stack scenarios. Elmerixx did jam king 7 suited there. I think that's fine. Or like looks pretty good. elmerixx goes for 2.5x. So if you test these RFI sizes, you would see it's probably like min raise 2.2x. I don't think it matters too much though. Garing goes for the call. And elmerixx bet small, takes down. So NASA could be opening here. Again, he just wants to have a blocker hands here. Maybe slightly too loose. I assume he's just going to fold to any jams though. Not easy to be a big line here, so probably a fold seems good. So this is going to go in, and tonkaaa won't be calling this one unless the guy feels himself treats for 10-3 suited call. I don't think he's gonna do that though. Zerla probably gonna open this one up. I imagine everybody folding, and NASA might be defending though. These offsuit connectors are pretty okay-ish whenever you cover, but like if you fold that, I think it's like a big issue. Zerla can definitely bet here quite often. Probably not a range bet spot. In like final tables in general, you don't see that often a range bet being a thing. His range is primarily like ace-x and king-x, but he's more ace-x, and he's gonna have queens, jacks, stuff like that. So he definitely wants to build a checking range there, I would assume. For NASA, it's either a call or check raise. So the small bears are going to play quite often into check raises here. You don't use those with like, let's say he had ace-6 or ace-5. That wouldn't be much of a thing. Probably a check. So whenever the turn comes and your range does not improve, or like your bluffs do not connect heavily on a turn, you are going to have a give up range over here. or like so to speak, like you need to build a checking range because you don't have enough value to keep barreling. Servala goes for a check back. I don't mind that. I don't mind a small bet either. I don't think it matters too much. Because if you're in a Servala's shoes, if he's beat, he's going to, like, the chips will very likely go in anyways. 4 does improve NASA's some of the bluffs that check raise the flop and check the turn. I think he needs to bluff here though. Still going to win with a pair of sixes somewhat often when it goes check check. You could argue that that you still need to bluff some type of bears, but you should have some like random hands to bluff that is not a bear here enough. Because your value is also kind of not, you don't have that much value after you check raise, because so often the value wants to play very straightforward by check raise bet, so to speak. And on checking lines, there won't be that much values. The problem over here is Naza is probably kind of top of his range. Like, he should have some King X, but not too much on this line. So it should be kind of heavy on a 6x, I would say. So in equilibrium, he's probably supposed to make a call here at the frequency. Doesn't really block anything. Like A7 bluffs, only thing it really blocks here. But the EV of the call is going to be 0. So it's the question is if Servala is finding the bluffs. So this should be elmerixx opens to 2.2x and everybody will be folding, I imagine. Your bottom suited stuff should be most likely fold against a low check here with 2 kind of very short stacks there. It feels like a blind versus blind action incoming. I think tonkaaa wants to open this one. It is like a blocker hand, but like you would be like kind of pushing your RFI if you start opening here. Servala definitely can. Servala should either limp or raise here. You should mix to do both. elmerixx is going to ISO over here. And Servala should be just folding here, most likely. Very difficult to go to justify Queen 8-0 defend here. But who knows? These days, could see like 8 peak line as well. Wouldn't shock me, to be fair. Well, this Ajo thing. Where is he like tanking? That's so weird. Maybe it was a breaker or whatever, and that what causes the tanking. Queen 8-0 is kind of wide open. Six deuce, no clue. It's fucking three big blind poker. I'm gonna assume it's still a fault though. So with ace 9-0, tonkaaa definitely wants to open this one. So your opens should go towards high card hands. So if you have like 10-9 suited here, you don't want to open. But if you have ace 9-0, that's a lot better a hand because you're blocking the 3-betting ranges in general. Also against short stacks, if they defend and you flop a top pair, you're good to go. elmerixx, I can see elmerixx opening this one. BBC Brieflop Charts and Trainer, the most effective way to train and improve your poker skills. Get yours now. King 8 ho. 2 big blinds. Tonkaaa has a decision. He can either call or jam here. So this comes a little bit more down to like, basically, typically you want to call if you don't think you have a lot of fold equity. But if you think you have a lot of fold equity, you want to rather jam more of these blocker hands. And the whole idea, and then it comes down to like, how wide do you think elmerixx is going to raise, right? Because if elmerixx is raising very wide range, then you're going to have a lot of fold equity, so jamming becomes quite a desirable option. So check the flop. Tonkaaa goes for a small bet. I don't mind. Probably go small again. I don't think elmerixx is going to have. He's still going to have some 9x. It's not non-zero. So this type of spots, whenever you're thinking about the bet size, whenever elmerixx also have straights in his range, to like decent percentage of his range will be straights. Let's say by decent I mean like 7% plus. You kind of will start seeing like sizing down in that case. But if you think elmerixx has never a straight, then you get to size bigger there. So this one will Tonkaaa will get it in here. Not much else to do. Very good situation for Barker. Unlucky, bro. But hey, if you lose all ends, you rather in final levels, you rather lose it to two big blind jams than big all ends. Ace 5 probably you just need to put it in the middle. Like, you still need to play some hands. You need to get some chips. Servla will have a decision here though. It's 4 big blinds to call. Probably has to go for it. Like, it doesn't really like change too much his stack. It's still going to be like fine. You having 15 or like 20 isn't that big of a deal. But like if he goes for a fold, I don't mind that either. Like, yeah, just a call. Ton of outs, and Servla hits it on the river. We are down to 5 players, so everybody locked up basically 30,000. So fold. Naza is going to open this one up. Henry's probably going to do a defend here. I think he wants to jam. You could arguably jam this if you think Naza is way out of line and he just like does not defend properly. The 3-bet jams, but hard to see. So interesting bet sizing choice. Small, as he should bet. Emmer's probably clicking a call here. So if you have 6-4 without a backdoor flush draw, those are more likely to hit the check raising than with a backdoor flush draw. And the idea is you have additional equity, so to speak. And now elmerixx has to fold. Unless nah. The idea is 8 brings in a lot of gut shots for Naza, so it's very simple to even over bluff at times there, because there is so many like draws to choose to bluff. But you have 6 high. You do have open ender, but it's like not worth it. Servla over here should probably play 3-bet fold game, so should go 5 big blinds or like these days, I think a lot of high stakes regs like to go 4.5 ish. Doesn't really matter the size. I think 6 big blinds would be probably a little bit too big. Oh, Parker with aces. Let's see how he does. Interesting spot for Ocho as well. He has ace and 4 big blinds. Probably puts it in against Naza. Naza been playing a lot. Wow, he did not. So Donka should play non-all in here, not to jam. We want to build a non-all in range here. To 5-6 big blinds, probably 5-ish. Yeah, Donka uses a little bit smaller size as well. Naza will just put it in the middle, I imagine. Interesting spot to tank. I guess it's for the timing tells. So whenever you see this like tanking happening in big final tables or in general, if you play final tables, you should also do this type of tanking and like balance out your timings, because whenever you have like a tough spot, you need to time to think. It's kind of personal in general. Some people can play faster. What is this? What is this? Click, 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 click. I guess I like it. The idea is if Naza was bluffing, you give him a chance to... You basically give him a chance to blast it off and like overthink, so to speak. So you just start clicking. Because if Naza has queens plus ace king, whatever he does it, basically whatever he thinks he has for value, that will go in either way, right? So basically by you clicking, you just give the chance for the other guy to be like, hey, do you want to start bunting maybe? So you give the option in case Naza had like, I don't know, ace 5 suited, choose to do that, ace 5-0, something like that. Very standard open by Servla. Naza has a decision here with Jack 7 suited. It's probably still a defend though. It's hard to not defend this one. Not the greatest of flops for Naza, because Servla is supposed to be opening, as I said earlier, kind of similar. He wants to open ace-x, king-x, basically blocker heavy hands. And that means like there will be more offsuit ace-x in his range than normally you would maybe expect. Meaning he's going to actually interact with ace-x very well. I like the call from Naza. He understands that the imposition player has a lot of ace-x. If he gets it in, he will be in a very bad shape and basically hopes that Servla doesn't have a better flush draw. Basically, at that point, you're just hoping the other guy has flush draw or ace-x if you get called. I think against that bet size, you're probably supposed to still go for a call, though. It could be still a fold, though. It could be a fold. The flush draws often do mix into a fold, but the idea is when like your range after facing second barrel will most likely be ace-x and flush draws. And the idea is with flush draws, you beat trips, right? So you probably with jack high, you probably have to defend. But it is possible it might mix or like be purely fold there. I'm not 100% sure. We are down to 4. Naza with pocket 5s. Go get it in. I don't think anybody can call here. It's a little bit too much. Elmerixx should be folding that one, unless he thinks blinds don't defend, but it's Naza and tonkaaa. If you play high stakes, they will defend. They will. So tonkaaa goes for a raise, that's fine. Naza should probably just go hit the call button there. tonkaaa can go for a check raise or bet. I don't think it matters too much. If you're NASA, you probably want to slow play this. In general, in final tables, you don't mind to fast play. But the idea is you're in position, the SPR is so small, you kind of want to give tonkaaa a chance to blast it off. And yeah, it's very simple to get it in. So the two pair type of hands in these type of cases kind of slow play, and because you're just going to give your opponent a chance to bluff, because if they don't bluff, you're going to get bait anyways. Queen 5 would be pushing it. King 3 with 23. You can raise, you can limp. Maybe even fold. That seems a little tightish though. So Serra is definitely going to ISO here. Knowing NASA, he might fire a limp raise here. You can call this one. So it's either a raise or a fold. There you go, just a fold. Very short stacked, huh? Parker with jacks, going to open it up. Everybody just folding, I imagine. There you go. This looks like a blinder's blind situation incoming. So elmerixx can raise, he can limp here. tonkaaa can definitely click in at rebet. Wow, jam, huh? Interesting choice. Guess it's okay. I don't mind really going non-all in there though. I think I like non-all in a little better. But if he thinks elmerixx is has too many bluffs, I think jamming might be a better option. Even though the like non-all in does the same kind of work. Sparker going to open, Naza is going to. I'm not sure, like, I would still min raise. Even though, like, EV wise, doesn't really matter if you go 2.2 or min. Naza probably should just rip it. Could arguably mix in a non-all in here to, like, 6 peak blind. But whenever, like, tonkaaa uses 2.2x, you probably want to go a little bit more towards jamming. So Parker's going to open. Everybody's going to fold. Then 7 suited, probably putting it in the middle. Don't mind the limp either, if he really chose to play that, but seems very straightforward. Let's put it in the middle and hope for the folds. Oh, this one, I think it plays limp call with very little, with little bit of jamming and very little RFI. King Queen O. I remember having a very like similar spot, and I looked it up. It doesn't really mind limp calling. Jamming obviously fine strategy as well. So gonna be fold. Unless several things like Parker is way out of line and goes for like a 3-bet there. That's a nice give up. I like it. Even though you're a big stack, you don't need to always play. You do have your folding ranges at times. elmerixx either RFI or limp. There's a lot of RFI, it looks like, at least over here. Parker defends. So when Parker defends and elmerixx raises, Parker basically does not have ace X. Like, you could arguably say he can have some suited ones to play like on that line, which makes sense. But for the most part, his range will be really weak, and elmerixx is going to have a decent amount of ace X there. Servla opens it up. elmerixx thinking about 3-betting non-all in, I assume. So this is fine. You can mix this. You just need to be careful with three betting all the time this because you don't really have that much value, so to speak. To be fair, I think it's like fine-ish. I just think it's probably a little bit pushing. He might think Serla is way too out of line though. Serla should probably just put it all in. Probably. Yeah, must be a play, right? Ace-9 should, like, it's definitely fine. elmerixx should min raise here, probably. Good jam, but, like, typically, like, your jacks plus type of range or tens plus, in this case, are fine to raise. You hope somebody you basically jam, or, like, you're fine if somebody jamming, you're just calling. You can add in some bluffs, so you can steal very effectively. tonkaaa should probably just fold. Unless he thinks elmerixx is out of line. Actually, can you jam this? I guess like, but I don't mean jam, but 3-bet get it in, so to speak. So if you had them big blinds, would you jam there, right? That's kind of the question. Because ace-10-0 certainly feels like it. No, ace-10 suited certainly feels like you could get it in. So ace-9 suited must be close, right? elmerixx could jam here. Both players have a piece of this one. Serla with queen deuce, top pair, and elmerixx with pair of fours, the bottom pair. Bet one. Gonna most likely see a call here. Ace is an interesting card because if elmerixx had ace, elmerixx would probably jam quite a bit of those. You can definitely still have ace-x, but so can Serla. But Serla would also jam a lot of ace-x pre-flop, right? So even though it looks like a scary card, you can definitely discount some ace-x because of a pre-flop. So there will be less a pair of aces. For elmerixx, it's kind of weird spot, I would say. I don't mind to fault there. Not really sure what is the best play. You probably find the mix. I'm just leaning more towards like probably a fold because you're gonna still have ace-x. You're gonna have queen-x. You're gonna have a 10-x. You're gonna have flush draws. You're gonna have straight draws. I think straight draws and flush draws. I'm not sure about gut shots, but like flush draws probably better defense, at least some of them than 4x. Like king high flush draws are basically the same as you having a bear. Jack high could possibly be similar. So yeah, I think I would like to see I would have liked to fold it a turn. Just because you're still going to have a lot of other stuff. So Serla goes for value because he understands like elmerixx shouldn't really have much of a ace-x here. I'm not sure I like the line though. Wow. Very interesting hand. I'm not 100% sure that was played well by both of them. But it's very complex hand as well. So yeah, I don't know. I might be wrong with my analyze over there. But if Serla thinks elmerixx doesn't have ace-x, then it becomes very obvious that you probably get to jam queen-x. But if Serla's range is queen-x, 10-x, and draws, jamming on the river raises a question, how often are you really getting called by worse, right? So that's kind of like, maybe I will run it later, see what's up with that one. Very interesting, and it's very complex with these blind versus blind spots. I might be completely wrong with my analyze. So over here, Parker limped, NASA checked. We see check on the flop. Probably goes check over here. Like your king highs will be good for the most part on this whenever tonkaaa checks twice. Tonka probably has a lot of other to bluff over here. So blind versus blind limp bots, you do need to have a give up range on three. Whenever like people think like, oh, I don't have anything, I need to always bluff, so to speak. But the problem is you don't really have enough value, and so on these like double check lines for small blind, they often do have a decent amount of give ups in general. Or simple hand for Bucker, the raise. Huh. Sarah had a lot of difficult decisions, I feel like, in this final level. Or like, not maybe like difficult, but definitely like not as clear decisions as it may be seeing at times. So Parker takes it down on the flop. BBC Brieflop Shards and Trainer, the most effective way to train and improve your poker skills. Get yours now. Now opening up with nines. These deuces probably jam. It wouldn't shock me to see me. There are some cases where small players actually fold from the small blind. I'm not 100% sure if this is like the one of the spots because you are the big stack. But the whole idea is the buttons should be very tight over here. And because, not very tight, but like it will be kind of polarized range. And with deuces and like small bears, you don't really block anything. So it's very like nice to see several folds. Could be always the play. But if you think Naza is folding too much, you need to jam. So tonkaaa defends. So check raise. You're not loving the life if you Barker here, because when you check raise and Naza calls, Naza can still have trips, better king X in general. Like, you're not a happy camper, even though you have top two or like two pairs. Naza does not bet. It does lead to thinking his range might be basically pairs. He probably open rips like sixes and smaller, so probably sevens through jacks. So maybe some king X played like that. Very interesting bet size choice. If he's like if Parker range him to have like sevens through jacks, obviously this size makes a lot of sense. I still think Naza should probably have some king X in his range. He probably plays some boats and stuff like this as well. So maybe betting a little bit smaller side on the river would make more sense. Also, another problem is if Naza has nines, tens, jacks, he actually needs to call because you want to get value, right? So if he's not calling, it doesn't really make sense. Like you're only getting called by better, even though from Naza's point of view, he's likely to be mixing to fold still. Very interesting hands over here. So Naza can put this one in the middle. It's gonna go for a fold. All in fold. Couldn't even see what Naza had. Must have been such a trash, huh? So over here, Serla definitely wants to play very aggressive RFI strategy here because he wants to put pressure on tonkaaa, so wants to raise a lot. Limping will still be a thing here, though. I don't mind to raise either. I think you mostly want to raise. Like, it's going to be quite a high frequency of raises in general. So, limp bot going to the flop. Serla checks. Tonkaaa checks. Serra can probably mix it into his bluffs now if he chooses to. But like I think as a human, it's more simple to choose like 9x, 8x, 7x. Like whenever you have like better equity hands, kind of similar over here. It's not the end of the world to bluff this, but it's probably fine to also give up, as you do need to have some type of a range, parts of your bluffing range, or like air, so to speak, to give up. Damn, it's hard to be donka. You basically be bluff catching. Bluff catching means it's 0 EV to make a call over here. And the question is like, should you be calling? Is he bluffing enough and stuff like that? If it's 0 EV, you are very likely to see mix, right? So interesting to go for a min raise here. You're supposed to most likely have a raising range over here as a Naza. Then probably Jam still? I'm not 100% sure with 9 B blinds. I don't mind it though. It's fine. So I am not a big fan what Servla is doing here though. He is 3-bet bluffing, but I do think you want to 3-bet bluff like an offsuit king. You have king 2, so king 3, or like offsuit queen X. You can choose from those hands, but if you choose a 5-4-0, you don't really block anything. You only block, so to speak, bluffs. So not that big of a fan, unless he really thinks like Naza is like just overfolding that line. I said, oh, open rip. Budding the Brusher. King 2 solve? Really? I'm gonna assume that's you need to like limp, right? Like you should be fine to play. It does get like 300. These spots can get kind of tightish, but like you still get to play quite a bit of hands in that spot. So maybe he thinks Servla is overly aggressive, so he just wants to play a little bit tighter because of that. Naza can isolate here or check back. I think he can jam though. Folding should not also be option. If you were thinking of that, you should not fold. Parker can rip this in, can play as a min range. He probably wants to have an all-in range, so King Queen suited will be in there because it's like it's exactly the hand. It's like if you raise and somebody goes all in, it's so dumb to start calling with King Queen suited. But you also don't really want to fold either, so you're just putting it into all-in range, so to speak. So Serra applying max pressure to tonkaaa there with 5-2 suited jam. Serra is going to open this one up. Probably just open rip. Again, Serra wants to play decent, like quite a bit of hands over here, and you don't want to raise call a7-0, so you just go open rip with like 15 big blinds and 10 big blind stacks. Ace King O probably still wants to raise here though. I think you want to jam this one. It could be mixed in equilibrium, but it's probably just RFI. A little bit too strong to jam. Very easy to raise call. 6 is probably just going in the middle. Probably not strong enough to raise call. Like you can raise call, but like typically like small bears just rip it in 15 big blinds. He does go for a raise call here. Pucken can definitely find a 3-bet here. I don't think he can call though. Also, if you choose to 3-bet, you need to be very like cautious about your frequencies, so as you don't want to over be too bluff heavy when you do it. Jack deuce. Oh, I wouldn't mind a fold here. I guess it is like 9 big blinds effective. Jack deuce. Oh, like limping is fine though. Man, I can. I have a feeling Parker's gonna do something dumb on this hand. I have a feeling. Maybe it's wrong. Nah, isn't it like on a deuce? No chance. It's gonna. It's probably gonna play very straightforward. I'm gonna assume NASA will fire a bet over here. 1.5 big blinds. There you go. And don't catch his faults. Ace deuce so probably fine to fold here. Like this offsuit deuce X, like the bottom with this. If you run a lot of solutions, you will say these are actually not being played. This you go all in and call, probably. I can see several folding though. For serves, like he's definitely calling sixes, right? What about fives? Not 100% sure. Probably. I don't mind the fold of fours though. I kind of like Servla's lines in sense of if you're very uncertain about what the best play is, you're definitely getting. So there are some final tables where you play and you get a lot of bottom of your range or like basically like indifferent hands. That seems to be like how Servla's final table have been gone, and I think he managed very well with how he played. With typically, if it's indifferent, you want to start factoring in some other things like, hey, does it really matter? Should I just keep it going? Because if you already know or you're close with where your range should be, it's like you don't want to make a mistake. So if you, let's say in some cases you make a call, that's 0 EV. If you fold, that's also 0 EV, right? So you will want to factor in some other things, and often you want to choose to not take a spot that you're uncertain of. Because they're all like these closer spots. It's all like 0 EV-ish, like slightly winning, slightly losing, and you're just navigating through the final table. And sometimes you're just getting those spots a lot, and those are actually the toughest ones to play. Obviously, if you have aces and kings all the time, super simple. And like some final tables, you just have it like all the time. It's simple. You have very like simple decisions. Servla definitely not having that one in this one. Ooh. Is Nazar going to jam here? I'm not sure I like it though. The idea is if Servla has a 6x or 5x, you kind of want to give him chance to like give him a price to call, I think. Because if you jam, like you have two pair, right? You don't really need that much protection with that pot to stack ratio. Oh, tonkaaa calls. All in and call. Wow. There we go. Let's go, Barker. But yeah, you don't really interesting hands. King 10 suited. Again, it's not a hand that you want to raise call, so you choose to open rip. You couldn't arguably put it into to raising and just fold if somebody jams. This is gonna be dumb if Serra jams. So basically, these spots are coming down to what is your math? Like, if he jams, can you call? Oh. Okay. That's an interesting line. Definitely fine. Look at Parker speeding it up, like speed running it to $95,000, huh? That's a fold. Hit the brakes, bro. There you go. Naz is probably going to just rip it in. Could also see a min raise here, or like something like raise. Can do so, probably just ripping it in. Parker gonna call. I wouldn't mind with like 9-5, that type of hand. It does seem like Parker just goes all in a lot. I don't mind really do like he needs to build a stealing range, so non all in raise size as well there. So would like to see that. Then 7 against Ace Deuce. A flush draw for Naza. And it's GG Serla. Congrats. 53,000 US. I think he played very well here. I do think like he probably had the toughest spots throughout the final label, to be fair. So Naza opens it up. Parker defends. Hard to see tonkaaa folding here. Ooh. We could have seen some leads though on a 10. Tonkaaa chose not to. If you're Bucky, you probably don't mind just going for a showdown, and like you should be winning quite a bit there. So check 8, limp, Naza probably rips it in. Ace 5-0, typically offset Ace 6, just like under 20 bigs, you're just flying those in. Naza limps, and Parker can go either way here. As long as you don't fold when it's limped to you and you just need to click check, you'll be okay. So tonkaaa checks, Naz checks back. Tonkaaa can value bet here. You can probably check. They're big sized. Slight over bet from the buck boy. So limp, Naza with a small ace-x, as I said before. All in, baby. This will go in, right? It must be. Oh, Naza just goes for min. Tonkaaa will jam. I think Naza can call though. Can you call this? No. Isn't that like a jam? I'm not 100% sure with 20 big blind heads up play. I don't like he could have definitely played open rip there. Wow, Naza just getting offsuit ace-x every single fucking hand on the small line, eh? So Parker probably going to isolate it to non all in. I don't think he's going to rip this one. He can go very big though, like 5 big blinds. So if you allow Solver to choose the size here, Solver will actually split sizes to like 3.5x and like 5, 6, 7x ISO sizes. Often you will see Solver plays like that. That's not a great flop for tonkaaa. Like the whole situation not great. There's no way Naza is going to fold here. Very difficult for Parker to bluff him off. Once he checks, Naza probably will bluff this hand, and it's very tough for tonkaaa to call. But let's see. Maybe Parker just gonna run it here. It does have like other better hands, probably like Jack X and 10x to do it, because those have gut shot. But he does have quite a bit of value here as well. Interesting. I don't mind a bet from Naza. I don't mind check. But if you check here and you miss, you're probably bluffing on the river. Huh. So once tonkaaa checks the turn and the river is 10, Parker whole range just kinda hit. He could have some like give up hands. It's likely. I would assume your bucket eights just want to bet. So you have 8 high here, is the idea. Because once you bet the flop, everything NASA has that you beat should bluff. Right? Because if he had a flush draw that missed, he needs to most likely bluff. So your bucket eights you can't really win. And it's kind of bottom of ish your range. Probably gonna have some random air in your range played like that. So I wouldn't really hate if Parker just dripped it in. Interesting hand though. So limp pot, check to the river. NASA is going to value bet this one, I imagine. Tonkaaa will probably have to call here sometimes. He has king high. There you go. NASA takes it down. NASA definitely runs very well in this final label, I must say. In final label, in heads-up match. Do you think he's getting better off tonkaaa? But just the way cards are going, I would say. But hey, maybe Parker can turn it around. King high with backdoor flush draw. No way Parker going anywhere. Again, NASA just hitting a bear. Like, it is not a bad card for Parker. He does have the not flush draw. He's probably just going to call here because he beats the bluffs. And he don't beat the value. And check on river. Ace 8, limp. This again, ISO, can just check it back. I think the offsuit 2x and 3x are not that much in isolation range. I might be fucking wrong. I think that was the case, right? It was, yeah. Pretty sure about that. Maybe I'm mixing it up with some stack depth. Damn, like, NASA just like runs Bureau against Parker in heads up, huh? Just gonna check it down. Tonkaaa, like knowing Tonkaaa, he might be like, let's value bet this. Bad news, buddy. That's nuts. Very interesting what size he's going to choose here. It just goes all in, huh? Is Parker going for a bet call? No. That would be kind of crazy. Then again, like, if NASA's bluffing, you're gonna win, right? Or like, you have a bluff catcher, so to speak. Parker can jam this. He can go non all in. This will probably go in. 4x. I guess NASA could be calling here. It's probably just putting it in the middle. It's probably going all in. Let's go, Parker. Oh, come on. Come on, Parker. Run better, bro. Well, GG. What can we do, huh? GG, Parker. Nice tournament. NASA, well, in heads up match, nothing you could really do. It's like pretty simple in general. You just didn't, like, NASA just outran you. But still, good score. GG's, Parker. GG, NASA. And I will see you guys on the next one. Cheers.